Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon for the latest film interviews, features, and recommendations on the movies that matter. Welcome, folks. Thank you for joining me here. We are, of course, going to talk about We Are One, a global film festival. This is, of course, the film festival, the digital film festival that's been put together by Tribeca Enterprises. 21 film festivals from across the world are participating, including, of course, Berlin, Cannes, Toronto, Sundance, New York, all the big ones. And the only Indian festival, of course, is MAMI. No surprises there. Given the incredible work that MAMI has been doing over the last couple of years, it's so exciting that all of you are here today. Of course, it's going to be over 100 films have been curated by these festivals. There's 4 Indian films that will be part of the festival. It's going to play out on YouTube. It's a 10-day festival that begins on the 29th of May. I'm so excited that we have both the MAMI heavyweights here. We have Anupama Chopra Festival Director, Smriti Kiran, who's Artistic Director, and Zoya Akhtar, who's on the Board of Trustees. But what's also exciting is that we have members of the films that have been selected. The announcement just came in. We have Vidya Balan, who's a producer and the star of the film Natkhat. It's a short film, lovely short film. Vidya, you play, of course, the mother to this impressionable young boy, and she's trying to reform the way that he thinks. It's a story of patriarchy. It's a story of gender inequality, parenting, a beautiful film. There's also Prateek Vats. Prateek, your wonderful film, Eeb Allay Ooo, has traveled to several festivals. I saw it in Berlin earlier this year. We had a chat then. Thank you for being here. Also, Ishika Motwane. Ishika, we knew you, of course, always as a photographer. You're making your acting debut, so to speak, in the film Awake, the short film Awake. Lovely film again. It's of course the story of a woman who's got her husband by her side, but he's not quite there. And it's a story of holding on, of the conflict between what the heart desires and what seems to be the right thing to do. But that's enough of me speaking. I want to jump straight to the talent first. I want to ask Vidya, Prateek, Ishika, what does this mean for each of your films? What does this mean that this is going to go out on YouTube? It's an initiative that's being sort of backed by 21 of the top festivals. What does this mean for each of you?
Hi everyone. I think it's wonderful because this really allows people from all over the world to watch our film, and that's what we want, right? When you make something, and especially a short film which doesn't have such a large audience, really this opens up the world for it. I think it's just fantastic, and we're all thrilled that we've been selected. So thank you, MAMI.
I think for us, it's essentially Awake was made, I think, nearly 6 years ago, 2014, and I think the director Atul Mongia tried to get it at festivals, and then I think he got busy with his own stuff, and also I think he wasn't, fully convinced with the cut he had, and he kept trying to play with it, and I think he finally got it down maybe a couple of years ago, and I think by then he wasn't sure whether it's going to see the light of day or what's going to happen about it. So I think for him and the team who worked on it, though even it's a short little film, but it means a lot to be awakened, so to speak, at this festival. It gets to see the light of day, so it's good for the crew and the team and everyone actually aboard. Yeah.
Prateek, I'm sorry I didn't initially describe your film, because I feel like everyone has heard, or everyone that hasn't seen it has certainly heard of it. It's a beautiful film about, of course, a monkey chaser, a monkey repeller who's been hired. He's a migrant who comes into Delhi, and he's got this job. And while, of course, it's comical on the surface, it really talks about migrants. It talks about the labor economy. What's it like to be a part of this festival?
So Rajeev, thank you. It's quite amazing actually, because like over the past 2 months, we've been talking about what's the future of festivals, how do we get to watch films, how do we put out our own films to the world, and this sort of gives such a big opportunity to play your films alongside some of the best the world cinema has to offer. It's a big credibility, it's a big platform for us, and also the reach. Being on YouTube and all these festivals collaborating together, it's also a sign of hope that a future is in collaboration. That's the way we will beat whatever we are facing right now. For me personally, I think the film, if nothing has become more relevant in the last 2 months, of the whole tragedy we're witnessing with the migrants going back to their homes and whatever they're going through. Because the film starts off with a satire and fun and comedy and monkeys and whatever, but at the core of it, it lies the heart, the invisible migrant labor. And I think this opportunity to put out the film right now has become very special for us. We are very grateful.
Anu, Smriti, Zoya, if you can talk about the significance of being part of this festival, and of course, the whole idea of being at a film festival is the sense of community, and of course that can't be achieved in the times that we're in. The whole experience of watching it together and discovering new films. But how significant is it that there is a festival of this nature, and that MAMI is the only Indian festival here?
I mean, it's huge, because like you said, it's not just the putting together of the festival is not just a putting together of like talent. It's also like when you go to a festival, there's such cultural exchange because there are people from all over coming. It's also you kind of get first dibs on all these films. If you're a cinephile, you get to see it before it comes out, before it goes anywhere. On a level, I feel a festival audience gets to, on a huge level, decide the course a film takes. Because if it starts buzzing at the festival, it just gets a completely different trajectory. So you have a direct effect on the work that's out there. And, like he said, no one knew what's going to happen with this pandemic. And just this coming together has just taken it to another level. And there are all these festivals that are all in their own countries, doing their own thing, having their own programming. And suddenly everyone's like, you know what, we are all one. And it's just a beautiful feeling. And for MAMI to be part of it from India is massive. It's pretty epic.
Anu, Smriti, can you talk about the selection? About curating these 4 films. We should add here that Nasir is another film that's part of this. We were hoping to have Arun Karthick. The filmmaker. We're still trying to connect with him. But that's the 4th film that's in the selection. Can you talk about the curation, the selection of these 4 films, and why these were right for this festival?
Rajeev, I think with us, the effort always is to, I've kind of we've navigated even countries that speak one language, and it's absolutely impossible to get to know the number of creators that they have and the number of amazing films that they make. And in India, it becomes even doubly hard because you've got 22 official languages and so many different film cultures that the last thing you want is only 5 makers from a country sort of, just traversing the world constantly. So I think the struggle with us is to put out some of the best and newest talent on a platform where diverse films and diverse creators from India get noticed. The other thing is that all 4 films, and you watched all of them, they represent very real and very relevant realities of the country today. And there's 4 of the best films that I've seen. So I think for us, the choice was obvious that we definitely want to put it out there. Vidya's produced the film. She's in it. It's about patriarchy. Eeb Allay Ooo is a film that even Tribeca's mentioned in their own, press release, because it was a big get and it created a lot of buzz. And we really wanted to put it out there. Like Prateek said, that it's become even more significant in the last 2 months than it was before. And Nasir is a beautiful political comment, and Awake talks about inner realities, and navigating relationships like no other film has. So I think for us, it was obvious that we wanted to put, and the filmmakers are first or second time filmmakers. And it's very important to give that kind of platform to new filmmakers so that the world discovers them. So these 4 became natural sort of films that we wanted to put on this platform. And this platform actually has, master classes from Bong Joon-ho, Jane Campion, Steven Soderbergh. So, it's one of the best platforms to kind of highlight 4 of our best films of the year.
Right.
Rajeev, I just want to add to what Smriti is saying. Basically, what this crisis has done is sort of put festivals in an existential situation. Because the question has now become, how will festivals function? Why do we even need them? And
it's very important. So I'm appealing to all your legions of followers to go and watch these movies, because they're excellent movies, and because it's very important to support this this coming together of festivals, because festivals, we will realize as we go along and more festivals don't happen, because of COVID, how important they are to nurture these voices, to showcase these voices, to take your mind into spaces perhaps that you would never discover, these films that you would never discover. So very important for everyone to go watch these movies.
Sure. To the talents, to the three talents, can you talk about what you think it is about your specific film that sort of speaks a universal language? Because when you're at a festival, when you're on a platform like this, where where audiences from across the world are going to watch it, they're very specifically Indian films, each of them, and yet they do speak a universal language. They do speak they are these cover themes that I would imagine anyone sitting anywhere can relate to. So can you talk about that and what you think it is about these films that gives it that sort of universal appeal?
So I think, our film tells a story of a mother and a son, and the mother who's trying to change the way this boy looks at women, looks at gender, understands gender. And that's where we realize that, parenting is key really in the way that we bring up, in the way that our world will turn out to be. Because knowingly or unknowingly, we're all conditioned. There's a deep-seated patriarchal conditioning that will take a long time to fight off. And though I think there is increasing awareness because of conversation, dialogue around equality, gender equality and all of that, I think we're all still grappling. I like saying that I'm a work in progress feminist. I'm not entirely a feminist yet, because you realize that our understanding of feminism is one thing, but how you apply it in your life is another thing. So this film, I think, therefore, it will have universal appeal, because you realize that across the world, while there is this understanding of gender equality, I think we're all grappling to a greater or lesser extent with that deep-seated patriarchy. And it's told, through the device of storytelling, where the mother tells the child a story, and that's how she makes him see that we're all children of the same God, which is why I almost think that it's poetic that we're showing at We Are One, because that is the theme of the festival.
I want to quickly just say that we've got now Arun Karthick, who's of course the filmmaker who's made Nasir, which is the other feature that's part of this. Nasir is a beautiful film about a man in Coimbatore, a very low middle class man. It's a beautiful story about the rhythms of his daily life, and that you've put against the backdrop of bigotry, of violence, religious violence. Arun, what I'm asking the talents is, what is the significance of being at a festival like We Are One, and why? And what do you think is the universal appeal of your film? Because this is a platform that's going to go, that will have viewers from across the world tune in and watch your film.
Hi, hello everyone. Sorry for being a little late. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the significance of being a part of this festival is to be part of a certain change. I guess the world around us is changing. That we have come to a point where physical festivals, probably for a brief while, is not possible. And here is a chance that through online we can connect to different parts of the world. And I'm sure this is going to bring in a lot of audience for our work, which otherwise in individual festivals would be in a small number. So my preliminary reason is that the work will be seen by a lot of people. And secondly is to also encourage such a change, because today or tomorrow this is going to be the norm. So I'm sure that this festival is going to gather a lot of attraction, given the fact that it is also for free, that it will enable a lot of people to watch all these films. So I think it's a fantastic initiative. And regarding our film being in this festival, I think our film is quite universal about what it talks about. This communalism, and also generally about a lower middle class man, which is generally a universal theme. So I think that's pretty much universal in its own right. So I think I'm hoping for a to know what people think about it through the festival.
Sure. Ishika, Prateek, do you want to talk about your film specifically?
Satire as a literary tool has been like around for ages. It's one of the things which is universal to everyone. It exists everywhere, and it's been there for a while. So I feel that really connects, first of all. But I also feel in the world we're living in right now, a contract labor economy where it's all about hire and fire, where people are not people, they are numbers, or they are like, it's like poultry farm. And it's all happening around us right now, where we don't want them, but we need them. So we don't want to endorse them, but our whole world is set up on them. And for me and the writer Shubham, it started off in 2010 actually, when the Commonwealth Games were happening in Delhi. We've grown up in Delhi, and people were picked up and left outside the boundaries of the city, and these big metal walls were erected around the bastis, so that the aesthetics of a global city is not polluted. And that sort of set off a trigger of what is this trade-off here. What who are the leeches here? What are we standing on here? And this 2 months have shown it's been so fragile. It took just this much for the governments to say we can't do anything, it's not in our hand. Courts are saying it's not up to us. Then who is responsible here? So I think the idea of the film somehow started off from there. And because the way people responded in China and Berlin and Hong Kong and wherever we've shown, it's really cutting across through audience because of these universal traits of a gig economy, I feel. So that's why I feel it's become more and more relevant.
I think for Awake, it was essentially, strangely enough, we spoke a lot about the script before we actually started shooting, because I was just giving feedback. And we were discussing about this girl and the character and what she goes through. And I think it's like a universal feeling of every, and it goes across all ages, young girls to girls who are going to college, but like women, girls striving to work, in households, being bogged down, or in a relationship, in a marital, sort of situation where she doesn't feel herself, she doesn't feel awake, she doesn't find her purpose when everything is okay, in a certain sense. And I think for us was to find that balance of when I don't want to sort of again give it away or whatever, but it's when he's not, sort of technically in the marriage, so to speak. It's when she finds herself, and she comes out of it doing the things that she loves. She's gung-ho about, whether it's driving, it's the small little things, it's the small little thrills of even, having another conversation with another man or certain things. So I think it's that finding that at least what I think we understood, I understood from it initially, was about her finding herself when he wasn't really there. And it's an odd situation that when he was there, she somehow wasn't the one who was awake. Is what I think about it, in a sense. And I just think it cuts across everybody right now in all sorts of households, like for all the women out there. I mean, I see it sometimes even across personally with people, and but I think that there is a lot of awareness now today, in the last couple of years, and I think everyone is all out for supporting each other, and I think doing things that you're comfortable doing irrespective of what your position is.
I want to end by asking a question that I hope all of you can weigh in on. We, of course, these are unprecedented times, and nowhere has it, never before has one sort of recognized how much one misses the film festival experience. I mean, when you're constantly hearing of festivals rescheduling or just completely having to sit it out this year, one sort of realizes just how important they are and why they're needed. When one's listening to how Cannes is going to try to do the market, online, and other festivals are grappling. I can only imagine the conversations that you all are having at MAMI about the obstacles and what, whether there can be an edition this year and all of those things. But I think in that light, perhaps if each of you could talk about your one favorite film festival memory, just being at a festival, just so that we can all kind of, together sort of appreciate the need and the importance and what we're sort of missing, when you can't have the physical festival. Of course, we're grateful for something like this. This is incredible that it can be under, in one place over 10 days, that anyone who loves the movies has an opportunity to watch films from across the world. But what is your favorite, your one enduring film festival memory? I know that each of you in different capacities has been at festivals. Do you have a favorite memory?
My first MAMI, I can't remember which year it was. I was a student at Xavier's, and I was just called upon because I used to do some comparing in college. So they said, can you come and introduce the film before, every film, and we'll give you some $150 or something like that for the entire day. So I went there, and then it gave me an opportunity to sit and watch those films. It was actually MAMI that opened my eyes to world cinema. And it was unbelievable, and I saw like-minded people who loved cinema, who were discussing it passionately. There were arguments, there were debates, and I was like, wow, this is a completely new world. And just that joy of people would be sitting in the aisles, it would be crammed, but there were some films that everyone went to, and there were some, and I think that community feeling, that sharing that experience, of course you get it in a theater, but in a film festival, the energy is completely different. I really, really enjoyed that. And I think that set me on a new feather in terms of, otherwise I was just watching films on TV. I hadn't watched the best of international. I hadn't kept myself abreast of what was happening, So that was very refreshing. And of course, Cannes, the year that I was on the jury, just to be amongst Ang Lee and Spielberg, and I didn't know what were the right things to say. I thought I wouldn't know what to say, but I realized that their reactions were pretty much like mine. And I was like, wow. Yeah.
Lovely. My favorite festival memory would be quite a recent memory. This January, when I was in IFFR, I had the opportunity to meet Pedro Costa, who a filmmaker who I admire a lot. So I just went up to him. I was very surprised to see him. And this aspect of festivals is something that we would miss if festivals are not happening. Because to go there and meet filmmakers that you've grown up watching and that you admire so much, and suddenly there he's walking or standing, having a smoke, and then you get to talk to him. So I introduced myself and I told that I have a film in the competition, and then he told me he'll come and watch and all that. And then after 2 days he came and he watched the film, and to my surprise he told me that he liked the film. And he took me out. We walked for 2 hours around the city. He took me to a exhibition of Robbie Muller. So we spoke a lot about cinema. And Pedro Costa is also a film geek, so we spoke so much, from Eric von Stroheim to Manuel de Oliveira. There's so much of conversation happening. So that is a fascinating memory for me. And every time I go to festivals, I make it a point that there are filmmakers that I admire. I want to hang out with them, because that is something that you'll never get through online or through other means of communication. So that whole ecosystem of, sometimes I'm more friends with the volunteers. We have all kinds of fun with the festival volunteers. And so this aspect is going to be missed. I hope it's for a brief while.
Right. Zoya, you want to go next?
Same thing, actually, just meeting people, there was a festival in Delhi, which was the Ocean Film Festival, which isn't, it's not held anymore, which is a really good festival, actually. And I met the Makmal Buffs, the entire family. They all make films. So hanging with that, it was incredible. And Christopher Doyle, the DP, who I just think he shot most of Wong Kar-wai stuff. And he was completely off his head. And it was incredibly enlightening hanging out with him. And I think also, Zindagi screened at the Marrakesh Festival once in the town square. And it was like a 40-foot screen in the middle of winter with like 20,000 people in the city, like a drive-in. It was epic. It was really, really nice being there. That atmosphere was,
Wow. Okay. Ishika?
I love MAMI because it's so local. And, everyone's in the lines and you're together and you're hustling and you're making these lists and everything. But I think for me, I think my first one was when Udan went to Cannes. And that was, of course, I didn't know what to expect and everything, but it was just beautiful. I mean, we were bombed and so exhausted. But I think the first time one of the first screenings we had to go to was, I think, Gods of Men. and it was at the Lumiere Theatre. But it suddenly hits you about that there are, you know, hundreds who come from all over the world to watch films. They're filmmakers here to present their films. It's really special. It's a special time, and you know, it's a great place to be in, to have that experience, to be you know, to be able to see it then on that screen. And it's, you know, beautiful sound, and everyone's doing their best to make it the best experience possible. So for me, you know, it was of course extremely special. So that was my first time there. Yeah.
You know, I remember that Ishika, because I think Udaan was the first Indian film in 7 years to make it to official selection. And I remember there was that, you know, the front of ballet, and there were all these names, and I think Godard had a film the same year, and next to it was Vikramaditya Motwani, and I got teary because I was like, oh my God, we're there, you know. And of course, Vidya, when you were on that jury, it's just a feeling of pride, you know. It's just like apni bandi hai yaar, you know, that sense. And I remember interviewing Zoya when Bombay Talkies showed.
Yes, it can.
You remember that? We were all
a lot of fun. That was actually also super special.
2013. It was the same year.
It was super special.
All four of you were getting ready, and Karan just took the mic from my hand and he just said, "You forget it, I'll be the anchor." And he was like interviewing. but you know, Rajeev, for me, because of MAMI, my view has, I've always been a festival goer, but in the last 5 years, I've become part of the festival organizing thing. And I think my enduring memory will be 2015, because 2014 was when the festival almost shut down. And then, you know, it took a hell of a lot for all of us to kind of put it back together and find the money. And then we had the opening ceremony at the Gateway. And I'll never forget that, because there were so many moments up to that where I was just like, you know, like literally it's the first time I've had white hair. Like literally that year was the first time I got white hair. And it was just so hard. And then the logo of the festival went up against the Gateway, and like me and Smriti and Kiran Rao were standing there, and genuinely I had tears in my eyes. I was like, okay, ho gaya. Now Janam It was just, it's the first time I've been part of building something, and I'll never forget it.
Sure. Lovely. Smriti, you have a memory?
Oh my God. Do you want to finish this chat or not? No, too many. And, you know, just adding to what Anu said, I think no matter how digital you go with festivals, the fact of the matter is that on-ground experience where people meet and you actually see talent hanging out with each other, that cannot be replicated. That absolutely, that is the feeling. And for me, also, like I had always gone and covered festivals. I was always interviewing talent. I was always organizing shows, but I've never even gone to MAMI. I just started doing MAMI. I was like, okay, what is this? And now I have to focus on this. And what is this world? So navigating this world, I mean, I personally feel that, you know, MAMI found us, because it's the hardest gig I've done. And it's the most satisfying gig of my life. And it's only because of the fact that it brings so many people together, and it's life-changing for so many people. And, you know, there are so many times that I've seen that people have begun to collaborate because they just met at a festival and they started talking to each other. It happened with Ava DuVernay. She came in 2015, and there was Christina Boros on our jury. And both of them met, and 2 years later, she invited Christina to direct Queen Sugar for her. And so, you know, these kind of things, like people, Prateek's film, you know, Franklin Leonard himself is like really going at it and kind of promoting it, because he was just blown away by what he saw. So when you can make that happen, that can only happen with the on-ground experience. It can't, I mean, digitally you can experience it and all of that, but then film festivals are priceless because of the human connection that forms, you know, at those places. So too many memories, Rajeev, to
I can imagine.
marry to one.
Finally, Prateek, you've been everywhere with Eeb Allay Ooo.
Yeah, but of course I'm biased towards MAMI because of the sheer love that we got there. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, just the fact so many people are turning up for screenings, and the same then in Berlin, like so many households, it's just a beautiful feeling. But most importantly, I just love the feeling of, finishing my own Q&A and then running in for Bhaskar's film. That idea of you're both the audience and the filmmaker in the same place, and you feel as if you're part of a movement. It's not one individual trying something, succeeded or not succeeding, but it's just being part of a collective, which is a very special feeling, which film festivals provide. They are disarming. I feel festivals disarm people. They talk more. There's more openness, and you can come out of a good art film and say, "Utna maza nahi aaya yaar." It's a beautiful, fragile feeling which has to be protected and nourished. And I think that's why all these festivals, which have lasted, as Anupama was saying, of the really tough time when you think it's going to stop, and then you push, and then because it's so precious and it's so important to keep it. And I think that's why this VR1 becomes so important. When everybody is down, when there's pessimism, when you think, okay, now what with our films? And this is the platform. And I hope this will only increase the audience for all our films. And this is a special, special feeling. So, yeah.
Lovely memories from each of you. Thank you so much. This is exciting. It's very exciting. We'll put the links so that anyone that wants to watch the films can watch. I'm going to repeat. VR1, a global film festival, runs on YouTube. It's a 10-day film festival, a digital film festival. 21 festivals, the top festivals across the world, have collaborated to make this happen. It begins on the 29th of May. Thank you to each of you, to the talent, to the 4 talents, of course. Many congratulations and all the best. Your film really does have a massive audience through this.
Thank you.
And like you said, hopefully, it'll only add to the audience that already exists. And thank you to MAMI. Thank you to all the heavyweights, to Zoya, Anu, Smriti, for putting your strength behind this, and for making sure that
not me then
all of you. I mean, even if we're in unprecedented times, that the joy of discovering new films, that the joy of watching films does not stop. So thank you, many congratulations, and more power.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.